Hello and welcome to the Connection series.
Bringing people together while social distancing.
So we're going to continue to be with you every night at 7 o'clock, at least for the duration of this insanity. And it's
going to be fun.
Are we excited about it?
We're excited.
As usual.
Our family is thrilled to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you'll take a minute and just click that share button, and that'll help us to get this message out there. I know it's going to be a blessing to people. So we're calling this the Connection series because we're going to be bringing people together through interviews, through testimonies, and we're going to be bringing them to you each night from their location. So we're bringing people via the internet, and we're thankful for that. But we've got some really awesome stuff lined up. Right now, we've got interviews and testimonies from Bryce Kyle, Joshua Smith. Tonight's segment is going to be with Pastor Arrowood. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. He has some great things to share with you. And then tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, you are not going to want to miss this. We will be having Pastor Don Martin from Tulsa, Oklahoma, pastor of the Metro UPC. And boy, they have really been through it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They have had, I think he said they've had 20 people in their church that have gotten the virus. And I think 5 people passed away within the past 2 to 3 weeks. It's been devastating. When they come back together, that church will never be the same.
And it's terrible what they have gone through. They have truly been through the valley of the shadow of death, but they have a positive message through all of it, and I know that it's something that you are going to want to hear about tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Well, tonight, here in a few minutes, you're getting ready to head out of here and do something cool. You want to tell us about that?
We have some very special women in our church, the widows in our church, and so we made some Easter baskets for them. So we're excited to go and do that here in a little bit.
It's never been a better day to be a widow.
They get cool baskets.
Well, Audrey's got a hairdo coming. Check this out. Turn your head, babe. Check her out. Now, I got to tell you that it took an enormous amount of courage for this precious little thing to show you that she does not like being seen publicly in curlers, and we may be scarring her
for life.
And I feel like she's hiding behind the dog, but I could be wrong. But that's going to be a beautiful hairdo, darling. Well, thank you again for joining us. Take a minute and share, and I know you're going to be blessed by this Connection segment. God bless you. I am so excited to have my dad a part of our program tonight, our very first Connection program, and I'm so glad to be able to connect with him and maybe even my mom if we get lucky. Thank you, Dad, for joining us.
You're welcome. My delight.
Pastor Arrowood is the pastor of the Tabernacle in Seymour, Indiana. Over the years, has been heavily involved with Indiana Bible College. Was really a part of its founding there in Seymour. He was the vice president of the school, and has written many, many books. How many books have you written, Dad?
10.
10?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's not more.
Say that again?
I said, I'm sorry, it's not more. Life is busy.
Yeah, well, 10 is absolutely amazing. So I know you're busy, and I do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us a little bit tonight. First of all, tell us, what does a typical day look like for you right now?
Well, you would think with the things shut down the way that they are that you would have a lot of time on your hands, but we're up at 6:30, 7 or so, getting started, trying to do the typical prayer times, and then, of course, corresponding as much as possible with parishioners, touching base with those that are working at home, almost 40 staff members that we need to figure out how they can do their work at home, how we're going to pay them at the end of the week. So and then of course we've been doing the daily prayer, sending out prayer list, and so thrilled that people got on board there, and so many positive things that we're hearing of folks that have been sick that are getting well or are well out of the hospital. So that's very, very exciting.
I know that you've been working on your message for Easter Sunday. Tell us a little bit about how the service is going to go tomorrow.
Well, we had communion cups available, packets available today from 10 to 2, and we had a host of folks that came by. We followed the social distancing, used gloves and so forth, and people stopped by, picked up their communion, taking it home, and then tomorrow during the service we will pause, and as a church family in the various homes we'll be taking communion. So that's exciting that we can remember the Lord's crucifixion here this weekend.
Well, we look forward to your message and also the continued time of worship that we've been having. And I'd like to just go on record as saying thank you to you and your leadership and the worship team, Sister Anna Lee, for getting so far ahead that before this thing really hit,
they got together. Now, that is what's so amazing, that you folks would have the foresight to get all of those songs. I do have to chuckle, though. We're into what day? Sunday, fourth Sunday, and they're still wearing the same clothes.
Well, they didn't quite have enough foresight to have the people bring different outfits. That was a fail. Well, Lord willing, we'll never get to do this again.
Hopefully.
Have you been doing any writing during this time?
I have been doing a lot of editing. I'm working on a book of sermons. It's like 30 sermons that I've compiled, and that's real close to being sent to the printer. So excited about that. And also this week received the draft of a manuscript that I'll be doing for an evangelist. I'm not gonna give the names out just yet, but an evangelist's wife. I'm very, very excited about that, and hopefully here in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be able to get that formatted for them and ready to send to a printer.
Awesome. I have a prediction that is that there will be a record number of songs and books written during this month. That's my prediction.
And you're probably right. Just yesterday evening, we were sitting out on the sun porch and received a text from a dear friend who recorded a song that she's written, sent it to us. I mean, it was rough. She was just in her living room at the piano and sent it. Very, very, very moving. And I would say that'll be typical of some inspiration that's coming out of this.
Yeah. If you had to come up with a book title, if you were going to write a book about this crazy chaos, what would your book title be?
Suffering with Purpose.
You already wrote that book.
That I would rewrite it, and I'm sure it would be with greater insight.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Now you're looking back thinking, boy, I didn't even know what I was talking about.
I feel that way. It's actually, the book is in its second revision, and you're absolutely right. From the time that I first wrote it to the time that I revised it, it was like, wow. And if I was doing it again, a lot more insight, I believe. And that's what happens when we go through difficulties like this.
Yeah. Is there anything that you have seen that you could take away from and say, this was positive?
Anything positive going on?
I think a lot of positive. Let me say, the programs that you and your family have been doing is typical of a lot of things that's been happening, where we have been able to connect with a lot of folks that had not this difficult time come. We probably wouldn't have even texted each other the last month. And yet here we are every day texting and saying, love you, praying for you. So there's been a lot of camaraderie on a local setting. I received so many moving texts and messages of encouragement, and then of course lots of folks that we've reached out to ourselves to encourage. I think it's brought us together. It's been a common suffering that has brought us together, and that's that's the two faces of the coin. It's kind of like the set of railroad tracks, good and bad, they run parallel. But if we stay on track, we know that someday it's going to lead us into the portals of glory.
Yeah. A few minutes ago, I could overhear my 21-year-old son in his bedroom going down. I don't know what the list was, but he was just going down the list, calling people and saying, hey, I just want you to know I love you, thinking about you today, and just wanted to connect with you. So in one way, physically, we haven't been able to be together, but spiritually, I think the church has never been more united. It's very interesting.
I tend to agree. Yeah, you would think it would, and I suppose it could have been just the opposite, but it hasn't been. There's been a unity. Yeah.
What would you say to the church if you could just take a moment and speak to the church? What would be on your heart?
Well, I think foremost on my heart is thank you. I'm just blown away by the faithfulness, the effort that has been made to make sure that their offering, tithe and offering, has been sent to the proper place. The faithfulness in prayer, the prayer time that we do at 6:00 every day. Of course, we're in our homes. We don't meet at church, but that was not my doing. That was a parishioner who texted me and said, Pastor Arrowood, do you think that we could start a prayer time? And so that came about from that. And people have just been so faithful. Of course, it's limited what they can do, but forever texting and saying, is there something that I can do, praying for you? So it's just the faithfulness, no wavering. And even with the deep suffering, faithfulness in trusting God, accepting the circumstances and even the tragedies of loss, of death, but being able to accept that and, like Job of old, still say, Lord, I trust you.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would say to an individual who has prayed in faith, but did not see their prayer answered the way they had wanted or expected that prayer to be answered? What would you say to them?
You know, we really don't have the answer. There are so many factors. If I had to say something, I would say to them, be faithful to God. And I refer to the book of Job a lot. I reference that. And in all of his suffering and throughout that entire book of Job, God never tells him why. Now, it's okay to ask, and I don't think God is insulted or intimidated if we say, Lord, why? It's okay to ask. But in all the book of Job, God never tells him why. But my encouragement would simply be faithful, and someday, maybe not this side of heaven, but someday it will be clear.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Pastor Arrowood. I would like to just put a little seed into people's minds and hearts tonight. I think I'd like to call it something like Comeback Sunday.
Comeback Sunday. I love it. Absolutely.
And because
hey, you want a prediction? I think it's May 3rd. Someone texted me today and said, Pastor, what about a drive-in church? And so, but the logistics to that for us is nigh to impossible. But I sent back to them and I said, what I'm looking at is May 3rd. And if I've got the right date, that Sunday. I don't have it.
Well, I hope that that's a prayer that gets answered. And
could I read a little text to you?
Yeah.
That I received. I received this today from a parishioner that said, I just went to the church and picked up our communion cups. I stepped up to the doors and looked in the sanctuary, and tears immediately filled my eyes. Oh, the things we took for granted. I can't wait to get back to the house of God. I think that's the sentiments of us all.
That sure is. And what I'm planning on doing, I want to invite, I want to get my friends there. And I believe we're going to have a celebration perhaps like we have never seen in our lifetimes.
For sure.
It would be awesome.
Well, thank you again, Dad, Pastor. Appreciate your time.
You keep reaching out to us with your programs. Your mom and I look forward to it every day. We tune in, and it's a little bit of heaven. Keep it up. Thank you.
Well, thank you. If we only have 2 people watching, I know we've got Mom and Dad. Hey, thank you. Love you, Dad. Have a good evening.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what a tremendous interview with Pastor Arrowood. I'm uplifted.
Yeah.
I think it's encouraging. and it's going to be okay. And I want to reiterate something. Come back Sunday. I don't know what the date is going to be, but I have my own prediction, and that is on the first Sunday that we're able to come back together, which I want to call Comeback Sunday, we are going to have not only a dynamic, awesome crowd, but we are going to have a celebration like we have never experienced before, and I can't wait. And I hope that you will be there. Find a church and go to church as soon as we're able. And I know God's going to bless you. Thanks again, Pastor Arrowood. Thank you to my fam.
We love our pastor.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Audrey, and your curlers, which are now world famous. God bless you all. Have a good night.
That was funny.
Buddy.
There was a ding. Okay.